jerk and you won't let me have a mojito bar.
That's why we fought the Nazis!
Is this a bad time?
So you can have a mojito bar!
At this point in his career, Adam Sandler is where we all would like to be at around about his age. In his, mid to late 40s, might be early 50s. He has all the money that he needs to make sure that he and his family are good. He has his own production company where he's free to go and actually invest and do the projects that interest him. And he's free to go ahead and actually cast and direct and write and work with people that he feels comfortable working with. We all would love to go and actually be in that position, and he's positioned himself to be able to do that. In his production company, Happy Madison, most of the projects aren't going to win any Oscars, but there have been a few that have gotten some critical praise. Movies like Reign Over Me, Funny People, or Hustle have definitely been lauded as good to very great movies. But even if most of his projects haven't gotten high critical scores, there's a lot that resonate with audiences, like 50 First Dates, The Longest Yard, and Click. So he has hits and misses, but the bottom line is he's doing what he wants with his production company, and we can't fault him for that. Now, Sandler's latest tendency seems to be produce more family-friendly content, and he isn't afraid to show his Jewish faith. In You Are So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah, he kicks both of those into high gear. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and actually give my thought processes on this Netflix exclusive movie. You see, I watch films that are only meant for the streaming platforms, and I go and actually watch them to see if they're worth your time. I watch so you don't have to. If you like how that sounds, do me a favor, click like, share, subscribe. And now, let's get into this review. You Are So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah is a family comedy that premiered on Netflix in August of 2023. It has a runtime of 1 hour and 43 minutes. It stars Adam Sandler as husband and father Danny Friedman, Idina Menzel as wife and mother Bree Friedman, and Sunny Sandler as daughter and soon-to-be 13-year-old Stacy Friedman. So the storyline is this. Stacy and Lydia are BFFs who have always dreamed about having epic bat mitzvahs. However, things start to go comically awry when a popular boy at middle school drama threatens their friendship and their rite of passage. There we have our storyline, and we have everything that we need to go and actually start really wrapping our heads around this. Now for me, family comedies are a hit or miss. They're not my favorite genre. Then when you throw in that this is a coming of age film for girls, I'm going to safely say that I am a casual viewer. I am not the target audience for this. So I'm going to give you that perspective, but I'll also go and actually give some weight and some evaluations for main target audience members. I mean, you should always know what your reviewer's bias is before hearing their verdicts and views or what have you. That way you can make an intelligent decision for yourself. So I've laid it all out there for you. Now let me give you my expectations as a casual viewer on what I'm going to expect to be entertained in this type of genre. First and foremost, for a family comedy, I gotta have at least one character to empathize with. Meaning that I've gotta have that character that is either funny, or they are charming, or they're just a good person, or what have you, that I'm gonna go and actually empathize with, I'm gonna relate with, and that they will help tie me in and really pull me into the story. If you don't set up a good main character, or at least a main supporting actor that I can really tie into, I'm gonna lose a lot of attention with this type of genre. Second, I want good relatable comedy, and timely is going to be a big thing on there. Delivery obviously is up in there, but the comedy in and of itself has to be on point. It's got to make you chuckle a little bit, make you smile, or whatever, make you feel good throughout the movie. Doesn't have to necessarily be, jokes that are most phenomenal, most innovative, but good laughs kind of hit you, timely and things like that. They will help a casual viewer get through your film and really appreciate it. The third thing that we expect when coming into like a family comedy of this is give us a purpose of the story. Where are we going with this? If there's a lesson to be learned, give us that. If there's some type of grandiose plan or anything like that, tell us that. Give us a real conclusion for it. Nothing more frustrating than going to actually come into like a family comedy where there's no lessons, so the family aspect of things really, it doesn't do a whole lot fulfill us internally as a casual unless we get some type of lesson or moral values or anything like that attached to it. We kind of expect it in that. So that's what I kind of expect from a casual viewer. Now let's get deep into this review. Now off top, this movie is fast paced. The events of the film are rapid fire, and as the school year starts and keeps going, we have no real idea of how much time passes in this movie. And that's great news if you really want to get through the movie quickly. But it's bad news if you want to build up the story or development of time so that we can really absorb the impact of the events that happen within the movie. You don't really get a chance to digest things here because we're always on to the next misunderstanding, the next major event, etc. Pacing is an issue for me as we don't do very much to slow down. This also leaves little to no character development for supporting characters, which you sometimes want to have a B story to follow and pace out the main storyline. We really didn't get that here, and you sometimes feel it. In and of the fact that when you go and actually have a B story, it kind of helps flesh out and round out the movie or whatever. We didn't get that. We're really focused in on what the main character is going through throughout this. Okay. Now, one of the things I can go ahead and actually say about the perception of time on here is that this movie is about a teenager. And if you remember when you were a kid, every bad moment, every bad test, every breakup, and when your favorite team lost or whatever, everything seemed to linger on forever and ever. And you think like, oh my God, it's been such a long time, I'll never get over it. When in actuality, it was only like a day or a week or whatever, and then it was done, it was over. So the timing and pacing in this movie may have been to kind of emulate that perspective, but I don't know if that's necessarily the case because in a lot of Adam Sandler's projects, they kind of have the pacing that really just kind of go from event to event to event, and there's not a whole lot of development. So I don't know if it was done purposefully or not. If it was done purposefully, then it accomplished what it wanted to. If it wasn't done like that, and they felt that they had fleshed out the characters, then the pacing was a little too quick. The story in and of itself isn't groundbreaking, and the dialogue is kind of like the usual family cheese, but I will say the difference is the religious aspect of things. As the Jewish religion is on display here, it does put one of the tenets of the faith front and center, and that's to care about others and community over one's self. And it's the main lesson to learn in this movie. And while the story is a bit cheesy, it definitely makes you harken back to like how like the middle school mentality to get through it, both the good and the bad. You know, when you think about things as a kid or whatever, there's some good things and there's some bad things. Overall, I'm gonna believe that main target audience members, whether you are of the Jewish faith or you really like coming of age stories, especially with young ladies on it, I think they'll like the story and the dialogue in this. I think casuals will have to endure some eye-rolling moments, especially when they kind of display on how dumb they portray some of the teens in here. There's just sometimes where you're just like, okay, teens do some dumb things, but there are some things that they don't do, and they just kind of go over the top with it, so that can be a little bit eye-rolling. But overall, I think it's very tenable for mains to be dialed in. Casuals can kind of be hit or miss. The acting was decent, not great by the cast as a whole. The main character, Stacy, and her friends and schoolmates were kind of like hit or miss. Sometimes they were endearing and funny. Other times they were insufferable and cringe. So is the life of a teenager, so it's kind of like what we expect, right? Now, Adam Sandler and Menzel did okay job as the parents. There were some funny moments of them interacting with the kids, especially like the big argument that Danny has with Stacy about a big blow up that they had, and that one was probably the funniest moment in the movie for me, just because of the back and forth of they were arguing upstairs and everybody downstairs was trying to act like the arguing wasn't going on, and that cracked me up.
Gabby!
You're a jerk and you won't let me have a mojito bar.
That's why we fought the Nazis!
Is this a bad time?
So you can have a mojito bar!
Most of the supporting cast was decent, but nothing exceptional. Although I will say that I did really like Sarah Sherman's wacky Rabbi Rebecca character. She almost always made me laugh when she was on the screen. Overall, though, I'm going to say that the acting was kind of average for this cast as a whole. So some other thoughts that I have about this film. For me, there were just a few scenes that I thought were funny, and the last 15 minutes was very much endearing. Most of the rest of the movie was walking in line of a good coming of age story, but then kept going deep into the angsty teenager behavior. And this is where I think it would have been beneficial to have a B plot going on with another character that didn't involve Stacy. That way it would have paced it out a little bit more, and it could have broke up some of that angst and all that kind of stuff on there. So that's where I think that we could have afforded to lengthen this movie out a little bit. Like I said, a runtime of 1 hour and 43 minutes. We had time to go and actually develop somewhere between like 15 to 20 minutes of a few scenes that kind of had another B plot to it. Just my thoughts and opinions on that. Now, I also think that some people will criticize Sandler for having his core family in starring roles in this movie. And first off, they weren't horrible, so it wasn't like they were bad or that they detracted from the movie. Second, as I stated earlier, he's at a point in his life where he's comfortable and he can do what he likes with his production company. And if I can help out my family by getting them jobs and really kind of catching on or anything like that, I would. And there are plenty of folks around entertainment that do this all the time. So why would I critique Sandler for doing it? I have no issue with it. They were perfectly fine in their roles, had no issues with them overall. And so I think anybody that would critique them for that is just someone that's just hating, just being real about it. But those are my thoughts about the movie and all that kind of stuff. Let me give you my verdict. So for main target audiences, I'm going to say this is a must watch. If you're of the Jewish faith or you like coming of age movies, especially for young ladies, this is a good one. The story isn't unique, but the framing of it is what makes it special. A Jewish girl in her community trying to figure out life, friendship, and her path in her faith are strong ideologies and strong things to explore. The acting and comedy are decent enough to watch for the lesson. And after I watched the movie, I read someone said that it had a Judy Blume DNA feel to it, and I will concur. I think that is a very good assessment on that, and that's why I say mains, this is a must-watch type of film. For casuals, I'm gonna say add it to your playlist to watch with mains, but overall, as a casual viewer, it's probably a skip it. It's quick paced, so that's good. And there are funny bits that can make you smile, but overall, it's not something that I recommend to someone who really isn't the target audience for this. It's very blah. If you're not into the religious aspect of it, if you're not into coming of age, there's nothing noteworthy here that will really draw you in and be like, yes, I definitely want to watch this as a casual viewer. It's just not there. But if you have someone of the Jewish faith, or you have a young lady that you want to watch a movie that you could go ahead and actually tolerate or whatever, this will actually be okay to put on the playlist. So again, for main target audience members, I'm going to say it's a must watch. And for casuals, I'm going to say it's a skip it, with the proviso that if you want a playlist, if you want to add to the playlist, you'll want to add to the playlist if you have a main that you want to share a movie with on a one afternoon. But that's what I have for You Are So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah, currently on Netflix. Check it out.
She's growing up so fast, it's crazy.
I'm drinking now. I tried it the other day. I didn't like it. We're good.
You stayed for the entire review. I appreciate you. Do me a favor, give me a like. Matter of fact, go ahead and actually subscribe to the channel if you really like the review. Or if I can't convince you now, maybe if you watch one of these other videos that I've gone ahead and actually done, maybe that'll convince you to go and actually subscribe. But until the next review, I'll holler at you. Take care of yourself.